Hello everybody. Today we're going to be learning about how to use functions in Python. Functions allow us to execute a certain element of code after a call to a function has been made. In order to call a function, we first need to define the function itself. To define a function, we need to use the keyword def, which is short for define. So let's type that in, and we're going to give our function the name print function. Print underscore function. And this function will simply go ahead and print the word hello. Hello. Now you'll see that when I execute the code as it is now, the console output doesn't give us any result, despite the fact that we have in our editor written print hello. The reason why it doesn't print out this word is because we haven't called the function yet. So when we want to execute the code which is after the colon in the definition of the function, we need to go ahead and call the function by writing the name of the function, quite simply. So we'll do that once, and now you'll see that when I run this again, it will indeed pass us the value hello. Now, you might not only want to do this once, you might want to execute the code multiple times. And that is, of course, also possible by simply calling the function multiple times, let's say 3 times. I'll go ahead and run it, and you'll see that it has run the code which comes after the colon and the definition of the function exactly 3 times, because we've made 3 calls to the functions as you see here. Now at the moment our function is still very basic. Let's make it a little more interesting by giving our function a parameter. Let's say we want to give the function the parameter name, and it will add this name to the hello when it prints out the result. So we're going to say hello and then the name which we pass into the function call. So now we need to add the argument which we've added to the definition of the function. The argument is right here. We need to add this to the call, and we are going to pass in the value max. So now if we go ahead and run it, it will say hello max, because as you saw in the definition of the function, we've appended the name to the word hello. So now it takes the name out of the function call and puts it right where the name is over here in the definition of the function. And of course, as you might expect, you can in fact have multiple parameters. Let's say we have name and a country. And it will print out hello, then the name of the individual, and then it will say from, and then we will have the country being output as well. Now, since we have 2 parameters in the definition of the function, we of course also need to pass in 2 parameters into the call of the function. The second parameter being the country. Let's say that Max is from Germany, and we'll go ahead and run this now, and now you'll see that it has gone ahead and worked with the 2 parameters by adding them in the right places in the sentence that we're printing out. And of course, as before, you can also go ahead and do this multiple times. That shouldn't be a surprise. Now, one interesting thing that you might want to do is to assign a default value for one parameter which you're passing into the function. Let's say that we have multiple individuals. For example, we have Max from Germany. Then we have a Robert from Germany. And we have a Sarah from Russia. So now we might want to give the country the default name, the default value Germany, so that we don't need to write it in every time. So let me just briefly go print this. As you see here, it's gone ahead and printed the 3 sentences. Hello Max from Germany, hello Robert from Germany, hello Sarah from Russia. And we're going to make it shorter by simply giving the country the default value Germany and deleting it from the parameters in the call function. So now what you'll notice is that it still gives us the same output as before, hello Max from Germany, hello Robert from Germany, which is quite cool because it simply takes the default value which we've assigned in the definition of the function. And what is even more interesting is that for Sarah, it has overridden the default value which we've given in the definition of the function and passed in the new value, which is Russia. So now we can decide whether we want to pass in one value in our print function, only the name, and then assign the country by default, or we can decide to pass in 2 values and have a name and a country of our choice, which is different from the default value. Now the next thing that I want to go into is going to require a different example, so let me delete what's in the editor. We're going to look at one keyword which is very frequently used in conjunction with functions, and that is the return keyword. So we're going to define a function, and it's going to be the function multiplication, and it is going to take 2 values, a and b, and of course it is going to multiply these values together, a times b. But we are going to add the keyword return to this function because we want the function to return the value of this multiplication so that we can use it later on. So now if I go ahead and print the multiplication and then pass in 2 values such as 3 and 3, so it's going to multiply them together, it will then execute this function, the value of the multiplication will be returned, and then this will print out the multiplication of the 2 values. But now you might say, well, that would work without the return keyword. And that is exactly the point, which is if we delete the return keyword and try and run this again, you will see that the console outputs none. And that is because this multiplication has the value null. It is void of a value because we simply not returned the value of the multiplication for Python to use later on. So now if we put it back in and maybe take some other example like 5 times 4 or 5 times 3 and then run it, you'll see that it outputs the value we want. Alright, so that sums up our small tutorial on functions in Python. If it helped you out, make sure to like and subscribe, and see you in the next video.